I entered the room and found her in an unexpected moment. The unexpected discovery. The chronometer read 0237 hours when Marcus Chen finally looked up from his calculations. The Andromeda's Edge hummed its familiar nocturnal song, a symphony of life support systems and quantum drives that had become his companion during these late research sessions. His eyes burned from staring at holographic equations describing the nebula's unusual particle emissions, patterns that refused to align with any known models. He needed the specialized spectrometer from Zephyr's lab. The Zenari biologist had mentioned leaving it calibrated for his use, though she'd seemed distracted during their brief afternoon meeting. Marcus stretched, joints protesting after hours hunched over his workstation, and made his way through the dimmed corridors toward her laboratory. The door to her lab was slightly ajar, soft violet light spilling into the hallway. Marcus raised his hand to knock but paused when he heard a sound, something between a sigh and a musical note. Through the gap, he glimpsed Zephyr in profile, and his breath caught. She stood before a shimmering holographic display, but these weren't research projections. Ethereal flowers bloomed and faded in cycles, their petals seeming to dance with bioluminescent pulses. Zephyr's usually composed features were soft, unguarded, and her iridescent skin flickered with colors Marcus had never seen. Deep purples flowing into silver, like sunset on an alien ocean. A single tear tracked down her cheek, catching the light and scattering it into tiny rainbows. Her slender fingers traced patterns in the air, and the holographic flowers responded, releasing what looked like glowing pollen that swirled around her. She was humming, a haunting melody that seemed to resonate in frequencies just beyond human hearing, making Marcus's chest tighten with an inexplicable longing. In all their months working together, he'd never seen her like this, vulnerable, achingly beautiful, and completely unaware of his presence. The careful professional distance she maintained had dissolved, revealing someone far more complex than the brilliant, controlled scientist he thought he knew. Marcus knew he should announce himself or leave, but he found himself transfixed. The way the light played across her features, the graceful arc of her neck as she tilted her head back, the subtle tremor in her shoulders, it was like discovering a new celestial phenomenon, beautiful and mysterious. When Zephyr suddenly turned, their eyes met through the doorway, and time seemed to suspend itself between heartbeats. Shared silence. For a moment, neither moved. Marcus expected Zephyr to stiffen, to retreat behind her usual professional composure, but instead, something extraordinary happened. Her luminescent eyes, usually a controlled silver, swirled with those same deep purples and blues he'd glimpsed moments before. Rather than closing off, she seemed to open further, like a flower responding to unexpected sunlight. "Marcus," she said softly, her voice carrying harmonics that made his name sound like music. "I didn't realize anyone else was awake." "I'm sorry," he began, stepping into the doorway. "I came for the spectrometer. I didn't mean to intrude on." He gestured helplessly at the holographic display, still uncertain what he'd witnessed. Zephyr's lips curved in the faintest smile, an expression he'd seen rarely and never directed at him with such warmth. "You're not intruding. Perhaps it's time someone understood." She gestured for him to enter, her movement fluid and somehow vulnerable. Marcus stepped inside, the door sliding shut behind him with a soft whisper. The lab felt different at this hour, more intimate than scientific. The holographic flowers continued their dance, casting shifting shadows that made the space feel alive. "These are memory blossoms," Zephyr explained, moving closer to the display. "On Xenar, we record important moments in bioluminescent patterns. This one." She paused, her skin flickering with emotion. "This is from my bonding ceremony with my research partner, before I left for this mission." Before he. She didn't finish, but Marcus understood. Loss was a universal language. "They're beautiful," he said, moving to stand beside her. Their shoulders were nearly touching, and he could feel a subtle warmth radiating from her skin, different from human body heat, more like standing near a gentle star. "Your science is beautiful too," she said unexpectedly. "The way you see patterns in chaos, find music in mathematical equations. I've watched you work, Marcus. You lose yourself in discovery the same way I lose myself in these memories." The confession hung between them, charged with possibility. Marcus turned to face her fully, noticing how her skin's luminescence seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat, or perhaps his heart had begun matching her alien rhythm. "I've watched you too," he admitted. "Your mind is extraordinary, Zephyra. But tonight, seeing you like this, you're so much more than I imagined." She lifted her hand, hesitating just before touching his cheek. "On my world, connection happens through resonance. I've been feeling something with you, a harmony I didn't think possible with a human." The dance of proximity. The weeks that followed transformed the quiet rhythm of their work. What had been professional distance became charged space, filled with unspoken awareness. Marcus found himself arriving at the lab earlier, hoping to catch Zephyra during her morning preparations. She began lingering in the evenings, bringing cups of shimmering tea from her quarters, a blend that tasted like starlight and cinnamon. Their fingers would brush when passing equipment, and neither would pull away immediately. Once, while both reaching for the same datapad, Zephyra's hand covered his completely. Her skin was smooth, warm, and seemed to pulse with subtle energy that made Marcus's nerves sing. They stood frozen for 3 heartbeats before she slowly withdrew, her skin flushing with silver-pink luminescence. "Your physiological responses are fascinating," she murmured, but her clinical words were betrayed by the tremor in her voice. Dr. Winters observed their interactions with knowing amusement. "The quantum resonance readings are particularly strong today," he commented once, when Marcus and Zephyra had spent 10 minutes standing unnecessarily close while reviewing routine data. "Interesting how certain proximities affect the measurements." Late one evening, a power fluctuation plunged the research deck into darkness. Emergency lighting failed to engage immediately, leaving them in absolute blackness. Marcus heard Zephyra's sharp intake of breath nearby. "I'm here," he said, reaching out instinctively. His hand found her arm, and immediately her skin began to glow, a soft, pearl-like radiance that gradually intensified. "I can't always control it," she whispered. "Strong emotions make the bioluminescence respond." In her gentle light, Marcus could see her face mere inches from his. Her eyes were wide, swirling with colors he was beginning to recognize as desire. The glow from her skin wasn't uniform, it seemed to pulse and flow, concentrating wherever his fingers touched her arm. "What emotion causes this?" he asked, though he thought he knew. "Attraction," she breathed. "Deep attraction. My species. We literally glow for those we're drawn to. I've been fighting it for weeks." The emergency lights flickered on, harsh and sudden, but neither moved. Marcus's thumb traced a small circle on her arm, watching in fascination as spirals of brighter light followed the movement. "Don't fight it," he said softly. "I've been feeling it too. This pull between us, it's like gravity, like the nebula's quantum entanglement we've been studying." Zephyra laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "Leave it to us to describe attraction in scientific terms." "Would you prefer poetry?" Marcus asked, emboldened. "Because watching you work, seeing your mind unlock the universe's secrets, the way you literally illuminate when you're excited about a discovery." Confession among stars. The celebration for their breakthrough in understanding the nebula's quantum signatures had drawn the entire research team to the observation lounge. Synthesized music pulsed through the air, and someone had managed to program the food replicators to produce a close approximation of champagne. Marcus noticed Zephyra slip away from the crowd after the toasts, her silhouette disappearing toward the observation deck. He found her standing before the massive viewport, the nebula painting her in shades of cosmic purple and gold. She'd removed her lab coat, wearing instead a flowing garment from her world that seemed to capture and reflect light like liquid starlight. Her reflection in the glass watched him approach. "It's overwhelming sometimes," she said without turning. "The customs, the celebrations. On Xenar, we celebrate differently, through shared resonance, collective harmony. This beautiful chaos of human joy, it's wonderful but foreign." Marcus moved to stand beside her, their reflections now side by side against the cosmic backdrop. "You're homesick." "No," she said, finally turning to face him. "That's what surprises me. I'm not homesick. I'm torn. Because I've found something here I never expected." "Zephyra." "Let me finish," she said, her skin beginning to pulse with that familiar glow. My species bonds through energy resonance. It's not just emotional, it's quantum, cellular, fundamental. We literally tune to each other's frequencies. It's why relationships between Zenari and other species are so rare. But with you. She took his hand, and immediately Marcus felt it, a tingling sensation that went beyond mere touch. It was as if their very atoms were recognizing each other, finding harmony in their vibration. I feel it too, he whispered. Like every particle of my being is reaching for you. The first time we touched, I thought it was imagination, she continued. But it's grown stronger. Tonight, watching you explain our discovery, seeing your passion for understanding the universe, I can't pretend anymore. Marcus raised his free hand to cup her cheek, marveling at the way her skin brightened at the contact. Then don't pretend. She leaned into his touch, her eyes closing. If we do this, if we cross this boundary, I'll literally be changed. My quantum signature will carry traces of you forever. And mine of you, he asked. Yes, she breathed. Is that something you want? Instead of answering with words, Marcus leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their lips met, and the universe exploded into light. Zephyr's bioluminescence flared, casting dancing shadows throughout the observation deck. Marcus felt the resonance she described, a harmony between them that went beyond physical, as if their essential selves were finding a rhythm they'd been searching for all along. New equations. I had wondered when you two would figure it out, Dr. Winters said the next morning, not looking up from his coffee as Marcus and Zephyr entered the lab together. Their attempt at normal professional distance was betrayed by the subtle iridescent shimmer on Marcus's skin where Zephyr had touched him, and the way her glow pulsed in sync with his proximity. The quantum entanglement between you has been affecting our readings for weeks, Winters continued, finally looking up with a paternal smile. I've had to recalibrate 3 times. It's actually provided fascinating data on cross-species resonance. With your permission, I'd like to include it in our paper, anonymously, of course. Zephyr's skin flushed silver pink, but she smiled. Only if Marcus agrees. We're still understanding it ourselves. Over the following days, they found a new rhythm. Their work became a dance of shared thoughts and complementary insights. Marcus would start an equation, and Zephyr would complete it, her unique perspective revealing patterns his human cognition might have missed. During late research sessions, she would lean against him while they worked, her natural luminescence providing gentle light that never strained his eyes. In her quarters one evening, surrounded by artifacts from both Earth and Xenar, they explored the deeper aspects of their connection. Zephyr had created a hybrid space, her bioluminescent plants intertwining with Marcus's collection of Earth crystals, creating a garden of living light. On Xenar, we have a word, Ojawai, she said, her fingers tracing patterns on his arm that left temporary trails of light. It means the alignment of celestial bodies, but also the alignment of souls. I never thought I'd find it so far from home. Marcus pulled her closer, still marveling at how her skin felt, soft as human skin but with an underlying energy that made every touch electric. Maybe home isn't a place. Maybe it's a resonance between 2 people, regardless of species or star system. She kissed him then, deep and slow, her glow brightening until the room was bathed in pearl-white radiance. Marcus could feel their connection deepening, that quantum entanglement Winters had mentioned becoming something real and tangible. In her light, he could see faint patterns on his own skin, a subtle iridescence that hadn't been there before, evidence of how she was changing him at a fundamental level. I love you, he whispered against her lips, the words feeling both inadequate and perfect. And I love you, she replied, her voice harmonizing in frequencies that resonated in his bones. Beyond equations, beyond science, beyond the stars themselves. As the nebula continued its ancient dance outside the viewport, 2 beings from different worlds found that love was the most universal constant of all, transcending species, space, and even the quantum barriers between them. The end.